What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in this video, we are going to be discussing how we are losing physical media, especially in gaming, and we're going to be diving into all of it, especially with GTA 6 and game key cards. So, let's dive into it. So if I'm going to talk about the end of physical media, I have to bring up game key cards. One, because they are an important issue that involves the issue of this video, and two, well, I am a Nintendo channel. So, game key cards suck, and there is a lot of cons, but I do ask you to not completely despise them, because for several reasons, a lot of times, cool option. And because of that, I really don't think we should just despise them at the rate that people do. Because, honestly, yes, I do think game key cards are negative, and they are definitely part of the issue. At the same time, they're kind of saving it, because it's like, okay, yes, you know, game key cards are digital, and they take up space in your console, and yeah, that sucks, but would you rather nothing? Because the end of physical gaming is happening as we speak, and you know, you're saying, oh, I hate game key cards, I want normal physicals. Yeah, we all want normal physicals, but we can't get normal physicals. So wouldn't you rather something to hold? And the whole point of physicals is collectors and people who like something to hold, to put on their shelf, and you're still getting that with a game key card. And yes, it really sounds like I'm defending game key cards, which I'm sorry for. I kind of am. I have to admit, I am, kind of, but I really want you to still understand that I am not a big fan of them. I do not condone game key cards, but if you really want to know some, you know, if you want to hear me go into depth about game key cards, just go watch my game key card specific videos, please. Now, game key cards, they suck. They are developers' only option most of the time. Some developers are greedy, so not all the time, but my point is, let's not trash on game key cards so heavily, because honestly, they are kind of the last hope for any physical gaming. So, okay, next thing we gotta talk about is just the size of games. So this really just ties in with key cards, but a big reason why, we're just losing all these physicals is because, we can't do physicals anymore. And a big reason is just because games are getting too big, okay? It would be insane for people to try and fit, hundreds of gigabyte games on cards or discs. And that is definitely a large issue, and it is a reason why we are losing, a physical media, because we just can't fit it on there anymore. And it's very unfortunate, but in a way, it's kind of like a good thing, kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like games are getting so good that they are so big. But since they are so big, that means less, proper physicals. So, it's like you got a con and a pro from it. So, if you think about it, it's like, what would you rather? Would you rather the game be worse, but, fits on a physical? Or would you rather it be better, but can't fit on a physical? And obviously, I'm not trying to defend digital or, non-physicals, but my point is, there's just nothing you can do about it, so you might as well look on the bright side of, well, the games are big for a reason. It's because they're, over time, we are getting better games. Another thing that I feel like I should mention, because we're on the topic of physical games ending, is GTA 6. As you must know, GTA 6 is the biggest game ever, just the biggest one, the most anticipated game ever, the game that took the most money to make, a game with an extremely long amount of time that it was needed to make. Point is, GTA is like the biggest game in the world, as you must know, and, because of that, it's kind of got a little popular for a negative reason, and that is the fact that physically, it will be a code in the box. Now, I, obviously do not know exactly what goes into making a game, but I do not understand why it is a code in a box because of the fact of game key cards, or for this it would be a game disc, because discs exist that if you put into your Xbox or PlayStation, it will download it. Basically like a game key card, except for a disc. I do not know really why they cannot do that. I do not know why they can't put it on a game key card. I do not know why it has to be a code. That is a little absurd to me. But, of course, there could be a reason that I am not aware of. But, yes, the biggest game in the world will be a code in the box, if you want it physically. So, few things of note here. First off, they're making a physical still. It won't be only digital. Yes, the physical will be a code in the box, which does suck. But, I mean, it's a bad situation. You might as well, grab one good thing out of it. And, it really just sucks. But at the same time, let's circle back to the thing I said about this game is going to basically be the biggest game in the world. Kind of literally, okay? Like, I'm not sugarcoating it, even though it sounds like I am. GTA 6 is going to be insane. In the actual, map size, in the actual time it took to make the game. Point is, this goes back to the point that I already made of games are just too big now for physicals. And how some games are, for a game to be really good, it just can't really have a physical. Now, again, I don't know why they couldn't have done a game disc, a game key disc, but besides that, again, the biggest game in the world, basically. Like, this game will probably be the best game in the world, and because of that, if anyone expected this not to happen, I mean, you're a little bit foolish. No offense, of course, and please don't take offense, but my point is, this was expected. Okay, I already mentioned how really big games cannot handle a physical in really any way, and this is the biggest game in the world, so, yeah, maybe you should have your expectations, set to what it's clearly gonna be. So, yes, no one wants this, but again, right now in the world, there really isn't another option, and of course, I'm just trying to convince you that this is the world we are in, and we have to deal with it, but but please believe me when I say I do not want it to be this way. It sounds like I want it to be this way, but I'm only talking like this because I want to try and ease you into it. For, you, the viewer, I want you to, be prepared for what's going on right now. So, I do not condone this, I do not want this, but it is the only option, and we might as well look at the only bright sides that are here. And another reason why we are just losing physical media is because of the future. Which, let me explain. So, over time, the world's just going to get more futuristic. That's how time works. And because of that, yeah, we're probably going to lose physical media. And, so far into the future, people will probably just have a small little pair of glasses they put on, and yeah, they'll be in these game worlds, and everything will probably be ran, will be only cloud gaming and stuff like that, and it's going to be all this futuristic stuff that, nowadays we probably couldn't even comprehend. And, I know it sounds cheesy, and I know it sounds broad, but, in reality, it's true. That's a big reason why we'll be losing physical media, is because of the fact that, the future exists, and we will find ways to innovate, but those ways that we find to innovate will probably lead to even more of a downfall for physical gaming. And, I mean, look at music. No one buys physical music anymore, because it's all on streaming. And you gotta understand, streaming, the cloud, go hand in hand. Same thing with movies. Very few people buy movies because it's all on streaming. Way into the future, I mean, you gotta understand, it's probably gonna be so easy to just play a movie. Literally, you just maybe toss on a pair of glasses, and it's just movie. Right there. Quick, easy, reliable. And honestly, people don't seem to mind as much for movies, at least currently, because, well, physical is still an option. You know, you can still go get discs. But, see, that's also a problem for gaming, because the reason that we can't keep gaming alive like movies and music does, because movies and music, they don't, you know, their main thing is like streaming now, but, you know, they're still getting physicals like records or DVDs on the side. But we can't really do that with gaming, which sucks, but the reason is because of the fact that, like I said, the games are just too large. Like, that's, like, we can't fit it onto the thing anymore. Now, game key cards exist, and it's weird to think about game key cards now, because it's like they're going to really be our only option for physical collectors at some point in time. I mean, like, we just cannot fit the games on there. But, and another thing I probably should mention in this video, you know, if we're talking about all this, like, you know, gigabytes and stuff, the RAM shortage exists, it's real, and I really don't know where the solution is. No one does. And it sucks, but it's real. And because of that, you know, I just don't know how we're going to be able to continue gaming with money-wise, because of the fact that, oh, okay, fine. Like, even if you're a person who is completely okay with buying digitally, well, your consoles will just be getting, you know, increasingly expensive, as you know, you can see all the consoles keep raising their prices, and it's going to keep happening because of RAM, the RAM shortage. So it's like, so no one's going to be able to afford consoles, because consoles are going to need, you know, at least a decent amount of RAM. So that's that's like the annoying part, because it's like, it contradicts itself in a way. Because, okay, consoles need a lot of RAM now, because, you know, for all the gigabytes, because games are moving to mainly digital. Okay, well, they need a lot of that. Okay, then maybe consoles will add more, you know, one way or another. But here's the problem with that. If the consoles have more, you know, data on them, then that's just going to make the consoles too expensive to buy. So what's the solution there? You know, you can't have the consoles have more data, because then they'll get too expensive. But you need to have them have more data so they can fit all these, you know, game libraries that are just going to keep getting more and more digital. So that's a weird problem. It's like a double-edged sword, but not in a good way. So that is insane. And it's also kind of sucks, because currently in our existence, you know, like right now in time, I guess, there is no solution to this. Kind of at all. Because, and like right now it's okay, because it hasn't gotten to such a severe point. It is at a severe point, but like not too severe of a point. But eventually it will. I feel like, now this is getting very broad, but I mean, I feel like I should mention it, well, because that's kind of what the video is about. But like, you know, at some point in time, we're going to need to fix this, you know. We're going to need to find some fixes to these problems. And, like, it feels weird, because it's like right now we got no fixes. And, you know, I just hope for the future that we find one, because eventually we will need one, because the problem will get so severe. And I feel like this video is kind of taking a different turn than I thought it would. Because I feel like we've turned into more of like a almost political, you know, kind of video. So, sorry about that. I'm a gaming channel. I guess I'm supposed to stay on my right path. But, in reality, I feel like it's good that I'm talking about this stuff, because it affects gaming, but in the world, which are very important things. You're watching this video, so you're probably a gamer, and you are a human that lives in the world. So I feel like if this issue affects gaming and the world, then actually it makes sense to have it in the video. Also, I'm starting to feel like, you know, it's good that I'm, you know, diving into these points. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Fortunately, the end of physical gaming is here. Gotta live with it, but peace out, everyone.